The happiness advantage, how I flipped the happiness formula upside down. I'm pretty happy right now. How about you? Many people think something like, once I get that promotion, then I'll be happy. Or when I finally lose those 15 pounds, then I'll feel good about myself. For years, I was stuck in this mindset that success comes first and happiness follows. I was that person grinding away at studying at work, putting in crazy hours, thinking the next achievement would finally make me feel satisfied. But the goalposts kept moving. After every success, I'd set a new target without ever actually enjoying the win. I was exhausted, stressed, and honestly not performing at my best despite all the effort. Then I picked up Shawn Achor's book, The Happiness Advantage, and it completely flipped my understanding of the success, happiness, relationship. The big revelation? I had the formula backwards the whole time. Here's how this book changed my approach to work and life, and why happiness might actually be the precursor to success, not the other way around. So what exactly is the happiness advantage? Achor, who taught at Harvard and researched positive psychology, makes a compelling case that the traditional formula we've been taught, work hard, succeed, then be happy, is fundamentally broken. Instead, Achor presents mountains of research showing that happiness actually fuels success, not the other way around. When we're positive, our brains perform significantly better. We're 31% more productive, 40% more likely to get a promotion, and our creativity, resilience, and energy all skyrocket. The book outlines 7 specific, actionable principles that we can use to retrain our brains and capitalize on this happiness advantage. The first principle is the happiness advantage itself, the idea that positive brains have a biological advantage over negative or neutral ones. Our brains literally work better when we're happy. We process information more quickly, we think more creatively, and we're better at solving problems. The second principle is the fulcrum and the lever, which is about how we can adjust our mindset, the fulcrum, to give us more power, the lever, to achieve success. It's not about deluding ourselves with fake positivity, but about adopting a more beneficial perspective that lets us make the most of our circumstances. Principle 3 is the Tetris effect, which describes how our brains can get stuck in patterns of scanning for negatives, just like you start seeing Tetris shapes everywhere after playing for too many hours. But we can retrain ourselves to spot opportunities and possibilities instead of just problems and threats. The fourth principle, falling up, is all about how we can actually use failures and setbacks as growth opportunities rather than letting them defeat us. It's not just bouncing back, it's bouncing forward. Principle 5 is the Zorro circle, which teaches us to focus on small, manageable goals to gain a sense of control during overwhelming situations, gradually expanding our circles of mastery. The sixth principle is the 20-second rule, which is about reducing the activation energy for habits we want to adopt and increasing it for behaviors we want to avoid. By making good habits 20 seconds easier to start and bad habits 20 seconds harder, we can dramatically change our behavior. And finally, principle 7 is social investment, which emphasizes how crucial social connections are to our resilience and success, especially during challenging times. What I found most compelling was Achor's argument that happiness isn't just a fluffy nice to have, it's a concrete competitive advantage in today's world. When I first read about the happiness advantage, I had this uncomfortable realization that I've been deferring happiness my entire adult life. I had this endless list of I'll be happy when conditions, when I finish my degree, when I buy a house, when I reach a certain income level. The problem was I kept moving the finishing line. I also saw how my negative thought patterns were actually making it harder for me to succeed. I was constantly scanning for problems, total Tetris effect, which made me good at identifying issues, but terrible at seeing opportunities. My stress was making me less creative, right when I needed creative solutions the most. The 20-second rule really called me out on my habits. I had grand intentions to meditate, exercise, and journal daily, but I'd set up my environment in ways that made these habits difficult to start. Meanwhile, my phone was always within arm's reach, making the social media scroll way too easy to fall into. And the social investment principle, that hit home hard. When things got busy or tough at work, the first thing I cancelled was my social plans. I thought I was being responsible by focusing on work, but according to Aker, I was actually undermining my resilience by cutting off my support system. The most confronting part was realizing that waiting to be happy until I achieved success was not only making me miserable now, it was actually sabotaging my chances of success in the first place. After reading The Happiness Advantage, I decided to stop waiting for some future achievement to unlock my happiness and started actively cultivating positivity as a pathway to better performance. Here's what I actually implemented. First, I started a daily 3 good things practice. Every night before bed, write down 3 specific things that went well the day. Some days they're big wins, but most days they're small moments. A great conversation with a colleague, solving a tricky problem, or even just a perfect cup of coffee. This has genuinely retrained my brain to spot the positive throughout my day. I also applied the 20-second rule to my worst habit, starting my day by checking LinkedIn and Facebook. I now charge my phone in the kitchen instead of beside my bed and replace my morning scroll with a 5-minute coffee and breakfast. It was awkward at first, now it's just what I do. For the Zorro Circle principle, I started breaking down overwhelming projects into ridiculously small first steps. Instead of redesign the website, my first task became create a folder for website blog posts or write down 3 things I don't like about a current website. These tiny wins gave me the confidence and momentum to tackle the bigger project. The social investment principle led me to schedule non-negotiable time with friends and family, even during busy times. I now have a standing Saturday morning with my wife and grandkids that I protect as fiercely as any important work meeting. The results have been kind of amazing. Within 2 months, I noticed I was sleeping better and feeling more energetic. My creativity at work improved. I was coming up with solutions faster and seeing opportunities I would have missed before. Colleagues even commented that my more positive outlook was contagious. The biggest surprise though, I'm actually more successful at work since focusing on happiness first. I'm more productive, more creative, and I'm building stronger relationships with colleagues and clients. It turns out Aker was right. Happiness really does fuel success. Before I wrap up, here are some questions to help you think about how the happiness advantage might apply in your own life. Where in your life are you postponing happiness until after you achieve a certain goal? What if you flip the formula? What's your personal Tetris effect? Are you habitually looking out for negatives, problems and what's broken, or for positives, opportunities and what is working? Think about your daily habits. Which positive behaviours could you make 20 seconds easier to start? Which negative behaviours could you make 20 seconds harder to start? When you face challenges or stress, do you tend to lean into your social connections or pull away from them? How might investing more in relationships during difficult times change your resilience? What's one small, concrete happiness practice you could start tomorrow that would take less than 5 minutes? Could you commit to trying it for just 1 week to see what changes? When you try any of these principles from the Happiness Advantage, I love to hear how they work for you. Remember, happiness isn't just a pleasant emotion, it's a concrete, practical advantage that can transform your work and your life. Good luck out there. Cheers.